All right, so we actually have 4 computers in this rack.
4 computers.
We have 192 channels coming from the recorder to the matrix.
John Williams was actually here for that. Welcome to Fab Factory Studios. If you don't already know me, my name is Aaron. I'm the lead engineer here at the studio. But this place is a lot more than just a studio. It's an entire creative compound. Not only do we have some of the best recording and mix rooms in Los Angeles, but we have one of the best rooms for mixing Dolby Atmos. So let's go check it out. This is building 4 where we'll be going. But first, I want to shout out Nick Santos, who does all of these incredible murals that you see all over the studio. So go and follow him, nicksantos.art. Let's go check out building 4. All right, welcome to building 4. This is where the Atmos room is. And as you can see, it's already a crazy vibe as soon as you walk in. There's art everywhere. The walls are textured. And a recent addition to the studio is this incredible art installation that was done by Mark Isham. So it's an entire audio-visual experience. The music is composed by Mark, and it was actually mixed by Jason LaRocca, who you'll meet very soon in a future video. So let's go check out the Atmos room, which is down the hallway over here. Take a quick peek inside the bathroom too. Even the bathrooms are so inspiring with art everywhere, chandelier. All right, now we'll go down the hallway. There's even more art and inspiration all over the walls. Pop culture, $10,000 bills. And just around the corner, before you walk into the Atmos room, you have Willy Wonka's golden ticket.
You get nothing!
And this is Fab Factory's 11.1.6 Dolby Atmos mixing room. So when you first walk in, you're met with this giant projector screen and this beautiful S6 that has 3 screens. So this is actually a multi-workstation room. And its primary purpose is for mixing for film and television, especially for Dolby Atmos. We've even had people mix in surround. Every single format that you can imagine is possible in this room. But it's also an insane room for listening to music and mixing music in Dolby Atmos. I really can't think of a better room to experience an Atmos mix in. This room is just jaw-droppingly good every single time. So for the speakers in this room, if you look at the mains, the left and rights, we have the PMCs, the XBD-As, and then we also have an additional XBD behind the projector screen here as the center speaker. So this is a special acoustically transparent projector screen so that we can have a screen and that you can mix your movie in here, watch it, have it displayed, everything, and also get your entire center channel. It's pretty sweet. So for all the surrounds and the rears, surround fronts, surround sides, surround rears, and then rear speakers, we have the PMCs. These are all passive. The amps are in the machine room, which you'll get to see in a little bit, but these are all the CI 140s. So this is an 11.1.6 room. So that first number 11 means that there are 11 speakers around you. And 2 of them are actually hidden in the walls behind the fabric here. So the 1 is 1 subchannel. Technically, we have 3 subs. So we have an extensions on the XBDs, and then we have these 2 massive subs in here, which if you wanted to listen to a movie in here, it sounds pretty insane. You really get that low-end rumble from scenes in movies. It's pretty epic. And then the last number, the 6, is for the ceiling speakers. So there's the fronts, middles, and top rears, and they are all hidden in the ceiling. And those are the PMC, the CI 30s. So they're the tiny little PMC pancake speakers. But again, they sound incredible. This room is all PMC. So when we first built this room, it was put together. This was another room put together by Brad Keeler. The design, architecture, everything, acoustics, sound. And Dolby came and tuned it And then PMC came and added their touch on top of it so that this room could be truly a one-of-a-kind sounding room. And it really is. Some of the coolest projects that have actually been done in this room is, a while back, the recent Indiana Jones movie was mixed in this room. So John Williams was actually here for that at Fab Factory. And then as of recent, the latest SpongeBob movie that came out at the end of last year was also mixed in this room by Sean Murphy. So that's just some examples of people that come here and use this room and use it to its fullest capability, which is pretty awesome to see and be a part of and have at the studio. If we look at the S6, you'll notice here that there's actually 2 master modules on this S6. So this is a giant workstation. There's keyboard and mouse here, keyboard and mouse here, and this is a master module for another computer. You can have 2 workstations, and if you want, you can even have an additional workstation in the back. But on the computer here, there's 4 of them. Pro Tools 1, Pro Tools 2, Pro Tools 3, and then we have a separate computer for the renderer. So when you're working on big films in Atmos, you have to fold everything down or print everything, whatever you do, get it all down to 128 objects. And when you have like the music, the dialogue, and the sound effects, you know, you might use one computer for just editing the music and sound effects. You might use another computer for just editing the dialogue, but you have to get it all down to print to 128 channels. So you need multiple computers, multiple Pro Tools sessions, multiple rigs so that you can get it all into the Atmos format. It's a pretty complicated system, the way that we have it all routed in here and everything. So in a little bit, we're gonna bring Aryan in, who is our IT at Fab, and we're gonna talk to him about some of the routing and everything in this room, because it is pretty crazy. Even after spending so much time in this room, I'm still wrapping my head around how all these computers work together in this format. Let's talk a little bit more about the S6 here, because it's a pretty incredible console. It has so much functionality. We do have a couple of customizations here. So I know this module, the comments are gonna flame me if I'm wrong, but this module here is mainly for film if you're printing stems. And then this one is the joystick module. So this is especially useful if you're mixing stuff in Atmos and you wanna automate things and everything. It's pretty awesome. This entire S6, just think of this as a giant, like, I don't want to say MIDI controller, but think of it as a giant MIDI controller for Pro Tools. It's not MIDI, it's Yukon, so don't flame me for that. This is a Yukon controller, but MIDI is the best kind of comparison for those of you that don't know what this is. There's no preamps on this actual console itself, although we do have a matrix running this room, and you can control your preamps from this and use it like a recording console if you really wanted to. That's how flexible this thing is. But if you're really good and really know this console, you can essentially ditch the keyboard and mouse and just use the S6 and not have to touch any of this. You have all the controls you need, all your transport controls, and everything here. Maybe typing stuff, you might need a keyboard if you're trying to name tracks and all of that. But as for everything else Pro Tools related, shortcuts, getting around sessions and everything, you can pretty much just do it all from the S6 here. Another thing that I wanted to show you guys is the renderer. All right, we're back. We have the renderer loaded up here and the projector. So obviously this is on Apple TV. If you didn't already know, Apple TV can output Dolby Atmos via HDMI. You need a way to render that into a room like this, so that's what we have. Our entire monitoring is controlled by Dadman through the matrix. So the matrix is what makes all the connections, whether that's AES to the speakers, Dante for the other speakers, and all the other devices that we have. We can make all the cross connects here. So if we zoom in here, it's actually crazy because when we're on the Atmos rig trying to listen to an Atmos mix through the renderer, we can see all of these are individual speakers. So these are all the speaker channels here, 3 LFEs. Technically, it's 1 channel. All the speakers around the room. And here we have the render. This is on the main rig, the recorder computer. But if we go over here, for those of you that haven't seen what this looks like, this is the Dolby Atmos render. And that's you sitting in the middle of the room. That's us in the middle of this room right here. And these are all the speakers that we have. So this is all laid out. So we can monitor any ADM file that we have in the physical. We can monitor it with the physical speakers that are in this room. So 1116. We can play it back in stereo, 712, even all the other surround formats and such. So I'm gonna have to leave this muted so we don't get copyrighted. But just to give you an idea, you can see this also shows us all the speakers in this room. So funny enough, this mix does not have LFE. All the low end is coming from these speakers. And in a room like this, the way I think about it is the more speakers you have, the more definition. It's like the more pixels, the higher quality image you're gonna have. So same thing in a room like this with sound. It's going to be very accurate. It's going to have lots of definition. And a mix like this is really going to showcase the room because there's low end coming from pretty much everywhere at all points in this song. And when you have the CI 140s as your surrounds and rears and surround fronts, and you have low end coming from them, it's really going to translate well to a room like this where they have that low end information that you can really hear in these speakers. So now that you've seen all of this, we've talked a little bit about Dolby Atmos. This is, you know, a Pro Tools room run by Matrix. Shout out Avid for making some really cool stuff that can do all of this and power a room like this. I want to introduce Arian, who is our IT, who was here at the time they built this room. He does all the networking and security and IT for this entire facility. So I'm gonna give him a call, see if he's around to talk to us about what he does here.
Yo, what's up?
Arian, we're ready for you.
All right, give me a second. I'll head over.
Sweet. All right, we'll see you soon. Arian, welcome in. It's good to see you here. So you are the head of IT here at Fab, and I know to a lot of people it means a lot of different things, but you also happen to do a lot of things here at Fab in the IT realm. So do you want to give us like an overview of what you do for this place? Security, Wi-Fi, networking, like what is it exactly that you do here?
I deal with most of the tech aspects of
Okay.
Fab Factory Studios. Workstations, servers, data storage, Wi-Fi, internet, phones, CCTV, access control. If it uses power, I probably deal with it in one way or another.
Wow. So like security and everything, because I know this is a huge facility. We have lots of high profile tenants and lots of high profile clients that come through here as well, especially in a room like this where you're mixing most likely multi-million-dollar films. You have to keep this place super secure. So like what kind of things do you do to make sure that these people's projects are safe in a facility like this, let alone just the people are safe in general in a facility like this?
There's a lot of guidelines that audio and picture facilities have to comply with in order to be considered a secure facility.
Yeah.
CCTV systems need to have specific areas covered, specific areas not covered.
Okay.
No cameras in the room recording picture, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Access logs for electronic access through the doors. Person is assigned a badge. Every time they swipe in, swipe out, those logs need to be maintained.
Yep, we all have badges here.
As far as electronic access goes, rooms like this have an independent internet connection, independent firewall. There are security rules that permit and log all traffic to and from the internet.
Okay.
Depending on the level of security requested for the project, internet access might not even be available to the room.
Whoa.
All content coming into the studio has to be scanned for malware, viruses,
Okay.
proper encoding, stuff like that before being brought into the system for the engineers to use.
Yeah.
Same thing when anything is going out of the studio. Documentation has to be filled out on where the content's going, who's responsible for it, and stuff like that. And there are various secure applications used for doing that type of transfers.
Yeah, I would imagine in a place like this, I'm sure there's just so much data flying around, in and out of tenants' rooms, in and out of these rooms, and everything. So I think this role is probably the most important role here of keeping everything safe, not only just the facility itself, but people's data and everything. So going back to this room, you were around during the time that this room was built, correct?
Yeah.
So what was your involvement in that? Because this room is a little more high tech than just your stereo analog room like Melody A that just has a couple sets of stereo speakers and a console from the 80s that's all analog. This is very high tech and modern. So what was your involvement in building this room and putting it together?
So this room actually has 3 different networks in it. There is internet and outside connectivity.
Okay.
There is Yukon, which is all of the instrumentation, paneling, and controls.
Yeah.
And then there is Dante, which is audio over IP.
Okay.
Besides for the standard digital AES,
Mm-hmm.
some of the components talk over IP networks.
Interesting.
So my involvement was engineering the different networks, their cross connectivities, isolation, and how the different devices communicate on the different networks.
Wow. Because at the end of the day, I think Yukon has to talk to the computers have to talk to each other,
Right.
and obviously, you know, the speaker connections, they're digital, right?
They're all digital.
Okay.
Some are Dante, some are AES.
Okay.
Left, right, center, and LFE are AES from the amps. The surround and height channels are Dante direct to the speakers.
Okay. And all of these connect back to the matrix, which pretty much just controls all the audio for this room, right?
The matrix is the primary input-output switch.
Okay.
On an analog console, you've got the patch bay.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a digital version of the patch bay.
Yeah.
We have all the Dante channels in and out. We have all of the AES channels in and out, all the HDX channels in and out.
Crazy. And yeah, as we were showing earlier, everything is controlled by Dadman, and that's pretty much the digital patch bay for this room, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That's one of 2.
That's okay. So what's the second patch bay?
The second one is the Dante controller software.
Okay.
That's where you do all the cross-connect and patching for Dante to Dante communication.
Yeah. You mentioned the speakers were Dante. What else in here needs to be cross-connect through Dante?
Depending on what the project needs, this room can be set up in a bunch of different ways, just like pretty much any of our rooms.
Yeah.
For example, the workstations themselves, the recorder, PT1 and PT2, all have DVS, Dante Virtual Sound Card,
Yeah.
which allows audio from the computers to be connected in and out of the matrix. So, for example, remote audio via Listen To for studios to be able to listen in virtually.
Yeah.
That comes to and from the computers through Dante Virtual Sound Card. Depending on what's needed, whether it's a listen to, whether it's a remote transmit, you do all of that patching in the Dante controller.
So I briefly touched on the S6 earlier, and I explained for people that don't know what the S6 does or is, it's essentially a big MIDI controller for Pro Tools, but it's not MIDI. It talks over Yukon. So do you want to
It's a giant keyboard.
Yeah. Do you want to maybe explain a little bit about what Yukon is and just some of the functionality?
So Yukon is the communications method that Avid uses for communicating between Pro Tools, Dadman, and the Avid hardware. Like I said, this is a giant keyboard. Pretty much everything you can do with a keyboard and mouse, only dedicated functions. Instead of having to use the mouse, roll over, pick your track, pick your fader, and then adjust a fader, you already have them assigned and you can just directly modify it. Now, you want to pull a fader down, somehow Pro Tools needs to know that you've done this.
Yeah.
Yukon is the communications protocol that the modules use to communicate with the computer, and that the computer uses to communicate back to the console.
Crazy. And the functionality with this thing is pretty much endless. Like if I wanted to, I could almost completely ditch the keyboard and mouse altogether.
You could completely operate Pro Tools without a keyboard and mouse completely.
Yeah. That's pretty
all
insane.
your common shortcuts like your control option, whatever, you can actually hold shift, control, option. You want to reset a fader to default, option, tap the fader, and it resets back to 0.
That's amazing.
Everything you can do with a keyboard, you can do with the console.
That's crazy. So on a little bit of a segue about this, so we have 2 master modules here, and that's because this room runs off of multiple workstations. So do you think we could maybe see all those workstations and you can show us how exactly they're connected and talk to each other, and how exactly the sound can get from the first computer all the way to the 4th computer, which is the renderer that goes to the room?
Sure.
All right.
So this is in 2-operator S6. Operator Station 1 controls the recorder and Pro Tools 1. Operator Station 2 controls Pro Tools 2.
Crazy.
And we can go take a look at the machine room so you can see how those are connected and communicate with each other.
Yeah, let's go check it out. All right, we're going inside the top secret machine room. Don't tell anybody that we were here. All right, so this is Fab Factory's machine room. For this room, this is a crazy rack full of gear. So I see the 3 Mac Pros. Now, what is all this other stuff? Like, how do these computers actually talk to each other?
All right, so we actually have 4 computers in this rack.
4 computers.
We have the recorder, which is the machine that is either a single operator machine for smaller projects, or this is where audio coalesces before going to the Atmos renderer on larger projects. For larger projects, we have Pro Tools 1 and Pro Tools 2. On much larger projects, mostly movie projects, you will need to split the audio for processing purposes. Usually dialogue on one, special effects on another, stuff like that. Each one of these machines has a sync module. This sync module is communicating with a specialized high-resolution clock. This clock is what keeps all the machines operating on the same tick.
Yeah.
Besides for the 3 computers, we also have a Mac Mini, which is the Atmos renderer. Audio coalesces at the recorder. The recorder sends 128 channels to the renderer. The renderer does all the spatial calculations, all phase, all delay, etc. For doing the spatial audio calculations. How do you get a sound to sound like it's 3 feet above the ground, 2 feet behind you? You're not just panning it.
Take some special processing power to do that. Do all those calculations.
Which is what that renderer is designed for. It just does nothing but that. To get audio from one machine to another machine, all these machines have HDX cards, which are Pro Tools communications cards.
Crazy.
They all connect to the Avid Matrix.
Wow, that's the big patch bay.
So this is the big patch bay. We have 192 channels coming from the recorder to the Matrix. We have 128 from PT1 and 64 from PT2 at the moment.
It's a lot of audio channels.
256 audio channels, plus another 128 audio channels via MADI to and from the renderer.
Wow, that's crazy.
Depending on what the project is, channels may get moved around. Maybe we need fewer channels on the dialogue computer, more channels on the music computer, maybe vice versa. We can mix and match all the HDX cards according to whatever the project needs. But we've got basically 256 channels in and out, sliced and diced between the 3 rigs.
That's crazy. Now, can you tell us about what the Lindorf is here and what exactly this does? Because we have Apple TV in the room, and as I explained earlier, Apple TV can output Dolby Atmos systems. So could you maybe explain exactly what the purpose of the Lindorf is?
Besides for actual projects, got to show off the room one way or another.
Yeah.
Apple TV. Apple TV is also a pretty good way to A/B between a master session and the actual published content.
Yeah.
For demo purposes mainly, the Apple TV will send, if it detects a compatible receiver, Atmos signaling to the receiver. And that's what the Lindorf is. It is the Atmos renderer for commercial audio and video.
Yeah. That's pretty
So
crazy.
Apple TV is sending Atmos music, Atmos video, Atmos whatever to the Lindorf. The Lindorf is transmitting that via Dante to the Matrix.
Wow. Crazy. So essentially, if somebody wanted to get an Apple TV and they wanted a crazy Atmos setup in their home, they would need one of these things in order to do that.
Or equivalent.
Or equivalent.
The Lindorf is your higher end receiver.
Yeah.
It does 916.
Crazy.
I think the minimum spec for an Atmos room would be 712.
Yep, 712.
Which is probably a little bit more common. 712 or 714 is a little bit more common for home theater.
Yeah.
For a more professional setup, this is more along the lines of what you'd be using.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Now, I noticed we still have one more rack in the back here.
We actually have 2 more racks.
2 more racks. Okay.
Before we get to that one, this is internet security, Active Directory, and ingestion file storage. So this is a 10 gig Ethernet network. Firewall's rated for doing 10 gigs intrusion prevention, intrusion detection, and malicious content scanning.
Wow, that is pretty insane.
Besides that, we have 2 networks here, which is, as I mentioned before, the Dante and Yukon networks.
Yeah.
And then we also have not quite a network. It's the switch group for all of the KVM switches, the ability to switch between keyboard, mouse, monitor on the different rigs.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what those X keys are
That's
for.
what those
on
green and red
the
buttons
S6.
on that
Yeah.
X key is.
Wow.
And then third rack is all of the amps to power all of the speakers in the room.
Yeah, these are some giant amps. That's pretty crazy.
The majority of these amps are actually for left, right, and center.
Wow, so how many of these are just for left, right, and center?
The downward from here is just LRC.
Wow, so that's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 amps for LRC.
Correct.
That's pretty insane.
And then these are our ceiling speakers,
Okay.
our wall speakers, and the subwoofer.
And these ones specifically route back via Dante, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Subwoofer is AES.
Okay.
The surrounds and heights are Dante.
Wow.
Left, right, center are AES.
Yes. That's pretty insane.
The last piece of equipment is another storage. It's Avid's Nexus, which is a storage area array. About 40 terabytes of storage there for various reoccurring clients.
Wow. That's crazy. 40 terabytes is a lot.
40 terabytes of self-encrypted, highly secure storage.
Wow. Well, sweet. Aryan, thank you for showing us. This is quite the system that Fab has in here to power the 1116 room. So maybe let's head back into the main room. All right, so there you have it. That is Fab Factory Studios 1116 Dolby Atmos room. It's pretty insane. And thank you so much to Aryan for giving us a little more insight onto how this room works and even showing us the machine room. So like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you think Aryan should finally give me the password to the Wi-Fi in this room. So if you want to hear this room for yourself or even book this room, check out our website, follow us on Instagram. All the links are in the description, and we will see you next time.